and today I want to talk to you all about a topic that I'm sure you all know a lot about already, but friendship. It's a topic that I think a lot about myself, and I hope that by the end of this talk I can encourage you to think about it maybe a little differently than you did before. So my grandmother, she's a lovely lady, she's now 86, and every night she has a gin and tonic, 5 o'clock. And she pours it for herself, and she sits back in her chair, and she plays amateur philosopher, and she actually has a lot of tidbits of wisdom. And one that she told me recently was, if you have as many friends as you have fingers on one hand, you're an incredibly lucky person. I was definitely a little skeptical when I first heard that. You probably are all feeling a little skeptical too, because 5 friends definitely seems too few. I mean, come on, I had 30 likes on my profile picture last week. But the kinds of friends my grandmother was talking about aren't the casual acquaintances you chat with pleasantly when you pass them on the path, or the hundreds of contacts on your phone, or the even more hundreds of friends you have on Facebook. The friends she's talking about, and the kinds of friends that I'm talking about today, are your closest companions, the people who you share intimate time with, you love and trust above all else, and whose feelings and opinions at times feel even intertwined with your own. I think we've all experienced this kind of close friendship in our lives. It's really not easy to find, and as such, is incredibly precious. Now, this is an idea that really isn't new. Philosophers throughout the ages and across traditions, despite disagreeing on pretty much every other topic imaginable, all seem to agree that friendship is one of the most important aspects of our lives. Aristotle wrote that without friends, no one would want to live, even if he had all other goods. Stoic philosopher Epicurus, he put friendship at the top of his list of ingredients necessary for happiness, above food, shelter, and even freedom. Theologian Thomas Aquinas insisted that that there was nothing to be more prized on this earth than true friendship. And French thinker Michel de Montaigne wrote that after he lost his close friend, he was never whole being again, because their souls had become so blended that the seam that joined them could no longer be found. As a topic in philosophical discussion, friendship has fallen in and out of fashion over the years, and the types of debates have also evolved. So early thinkers tended to focus more on what was the value of friendship, but now discussions more focused around the question, how exactly do we define friendship? There are a variety of theories floating around, and 2 of the most prominent are the secrets sharing view and the mirror view. According to the secrets sharing view, close friendship is formed when 2 friends reveal intimate private details about each other. And this allows each person a unique and exclusive perspective on the other one and builds trust through mutual vulnerability. And while I think this is definitely a feature of friendship, I just don't think it tells the whole story. So alternatively, according to the mirror view, close friends hold up a mirror, metaphorically speaking, to each other and allow each one to gain self-knowledge. Aristotle believed that this was the case because he also thought that friends were inherently fundamentally similar to each other, even if they didn't consciously know it yet. And the problem I have with this theory is precisely that last point, which is that we come into a friendship as a fully formed and fixed individual. I mean, I can definitely speak from personal experience there. So I think the main thing these 2 theories are missing is something more essential to what friendship really is, and that is the way that our sense of self is formed and shaped through friendship. So since Aristotle didn't have brain scanners, he was pretty much limited to speculation and personal experience. But I believe that recent research in psychology and neuroscience about the dynamics of social interactions can reveal a surprising and very subtle new theory of friendship, that our close friends act literally as extensions of ourselves. So empathy, or the process that allows us to feel what other people are feeling, is the foundation of all human interaction, but especially close friendship. Scientists have recently demonstrated that empathy occurs at the level of specific cells in the brain called mirror neurons. These highly specialized neurons are active when we perform an action, but also when we watch someone else perform that same action. And initially, they were thought simply to help us understand other people's physical behaviors. But subsequent research showed that mirror neurons are intricately linked with the brain's emotional areas. So we literally share emotions with each other at the level of the brain, whether it's pain or pleasure or sadness or embarrassment. As one neuroscientist who's been working in this field for 25 years put it, mirror neurons are the glue, the neural glue between self and others. In some ways, the mirror neuron system seems to support the mirror theory of friendship, in that we see our experiences reflected back to us through our friends' facial expressions and body language. But friendship, to me, goes beyond simple mirroring. By empathizing repeatedly, we begin to change and take on each other's interests and perspectives. For example, if my best friend loves classical music, and I can gain pleasure not from my own musical ear, but purely from her experience of pleasure when we listen to Mozart together, then I'm literally sharing in her emotional preferences. I may even develop a love for Mozart that exists outside the confines of our friendship. So in this sense, friends can expand and enrich our experience of the world and permanently shape our personality. And even though we empathize with everyone on a day-to-day basis, our empathy response differs depending on the context and also can evolve over time. The results of several studies indicate that close friends have a uniquely strong psychological and empathetic connection with each other. The way we judge others, either positively or negatively, greatly affects the degree to which we empathize with them. In one brain imaging study, subjects were asked to watch two strangers play a game. One of these strangers played fairly and the other one cheated. Then those two same strangers were electrically shocked, which was very painful. I don't know how much they were being paid to take part in the study. But the subjects who watched them, it was fascinating because the empathy response was far greater for the person who was playing fairly than the person who cheated. And in a similar type of experiment, a subject watched a person who was inside their social group versus outside their social group getting an electric shock. And as you would expect, they empathized more with the person inside their social group. There's also growing evidence in a really interesting field of neuroscience called theory of mind that there is literally a blending of self and other at the neural level. In one study on couples, each partner either imagined or observed their partner in pain, and there was decreased level of activity in the right temporoparietal junction, which is a very specific area that is highly associated with distinguishing between yourself and another person. Experiments haven't yet been done which test specifically how different aspects of a friendship, like its duration or level of intimacy or trust, affects the degree to which friends physiologically and empathetically influence one another. But I think these are studies that really need to be done, because these findings could radically change the way we think about not only ourselves and our own identities, but also the way we think about friendship in the context of our day-to-day lives. You know, as all of us are college students, and, you know, we're at a very hectic point in our lives between adolescence and adulthood, and, you know, we have a lot of stresses in our lives. We worry about GPAs and our future plans and personal accomplishments. We're constantly pouring energy into thinking about the people we are and want to become. But rarely do we invest that same level of energy into actively nourishing and developing friendships. Perhaps this is because today's society is still highly individualistic and emphasizes the outdated idea that all of us are distinct beings and that we are responsible for our destinies and that we form ourselves in isolation. But this just isn't the case. The self is not a static thing. It's inherently defined by the connection between your mind and another person's. And even though you'll always technically be a separate self, a slightly different perspective on the world from everyone else, friendship Friendship is the thing that allows you and another person to become more complete and rich than you could be apart. To me, the secrets sharing and mirror views are interesting and useful, but they just don't capture the way our friends fundamentally define who we are, by lending us their passions, fears, and values, while in turn absorbing ours. As we grow closer, the line dividing our two selves begins to blur at the neural and the philosophical level. I think Montaigne was really getting at something when he wrote that hundreds of years ago. Of course, this isn't to say that you should stop putting energy into yourself and your own goals and your own passions, but I'd also suggest thinking a little bit more about how you view your friendships and people who are profoundly and subtly shaping you every single day. It may seem counterintuitive, but our friends might just be the vehicle for becoming